How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. It's Tuesday here on the show. You know what that means? Last night, Monday Night Raw. Got a couple of weeks left until... Don't make me do the math again. We've got a couple of weeks left until WrestleMania. And we got more matches added. More matches teased. So we're going to talk about Raw today on the show. The world-famous Raw Report coming up later. And in the meantime, we have a lot of news. An update on Bray Wyatt, which we talked about yesterday. We have got more on the WWE Hall of Fame. There is another Hall of Fame inductee that will be announced by Ric Flair on The Bump, whatever that is, on Wednesday. But if you don't know what The Bump is, or where to watch it, or anything about it, I think we know who it's going to be. So we'll talk about that today. SmackDown ratings for Friday night, a Rampage as well. For some reason, the Rampage demo was the best all year. And, I don't know why, but it did well in 18 to 49. We've got comments from John Cena on Vince McMahon. They asked him, the AP asked him about the Vince McMahon allegations, his thoughts, and he gave them. We have got Anna Jay's return to wrestling, and as noted, the full report for Raw. So if you'd like to get your thoughts in on everything today, you're welcome to. 425-780-7566 is the text message line. That is 425-780-7566. The email address, Bryan at WrestlingObserver.com, at Bryan Alvarez on Twitter. And, of course, if you're one of our Twitch homies, you can head up there and chat in the Twitch chat. Much to get into today, isn't there? Back in a moment, Observer Live.
We were working together at NWA. We were working together in so many different places, and people think that we've been tagging for years, and we've only been tagging two, I guess, right? November 2020 was our first
a little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years, but during quarantine, everyone's sitting at home. We're kind of trying to figure out what's next. When things reopen, when shows start back up again, what are we going to do? And we decided, why not do things on our own terms? That's the one thing people are going to have to learn about the Hex is we do things when we want and how we want to do them. And so we one day just started spitballing stuff back and forth. We were able to use social media, during 2020 to start getting these opportunities and people being like, oh, what's going on? It's crazy because we did it all on our own. I think that we did this without a contract in any company. We did this, reaching out to, and that's another thing that's really cool too, is that we can pull from each other's contacts. AK is going to reach out to this company in England. All right, cool. I'm going to reach out to this one in Spain. Like, we're just going to keep working together. And that's like that's the craziest thing, is that we did this completely on our own, just betting on ourselves and being like, we're going to go over to the UK. We're going to do all these fucking amazing matches there. We're going to come back and kill it here in the US. And we're just going to keep going. And to me, that is like, what is the craziest to me? Like, I don't care how high I've gotten by myself, whatever. Like, to me, doing it as a team, and there's so many freaking amazing tag teams in the world, period. But to be in the top 10 and being the only women in the top 10
in the US,
not gonna lie, in the US, not gonna lie, like, felt really fucking good.
Well, a lot of people do ask us why we're called the Hex. And while James Mitchell may be using us to put a hex on the death dolls, we do also like to clarify, we're not witches. There are a lot of witches in wrestling right now, and we're not trying to be witches. We're called the Hex because we will ruin your whole life. I want to touch on something you actually mentioned earlier, Denise, about filling a void, because that is something we talked about in 2020. I feel like throughout our careers, we have always looked for what is missing in wrestling right now, because you can't just be like everyone else. We've always tried to, of course, play to our strengths and find things that are missing in wrestling. And I feel like in 2020, we really said to each other at one point, there are not really many women tag teams on the indies that are established. I think at the time it was like Sea Stars, and that might have been about it, because there wasn't a lot of indie tag teams in the US of females. And that was a huge part of why we're like, we should do this. We are actually friends. We actually want to tag together. All the tag teams we're seeing, some on TV too, but also especially on the indies, we're throwing together people. I think that's something that also draws people to us, is that they can feel that we want to be here and that we're actually having fun together. That's something people say to us when they see us in the ring is, you look like you're actually having fun out there. And we're like, that's because we are.
Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Later today, we are going to do the world-famous Raw report. But I got to say a couple things real quick, okay? So, I watched all of NXT starting in, I didn't watch, like, when it was that weird at the very beginning, like the season 1 or whatever. But, once it was like a wrestling show and Triple H was booking it, I watched all of that, okay? Every single NXT show booked by Triple H I've seen. Takeovers, the whole 9 yards, okay? I've been watching WWE since, like, 1988, and I've been watching every single solitary show since about, well, for sure 95, because I was writing about it in Figure 4. I've seen, I think, every Raw. I think I've seen every Raw ever, okay? I have also seen not only every Vince McMahon Raw, but I've seen every Raw and SmackDown that Triple H has booked, okay? And there continue to be segments on the show that, listen, maybe Vince had nothing to do with these segments, okay? But I now watch the show, and as I watch it, like my body and my brain and my soul, I watch it and I'm like, okay, that was a Triple H segment. That was a Triple H segment. That was a Triple H segment. But brother, dude, I don't care. Like, there's no way that wasn't a Vince segment right there, okay? That thing with Brock Lesnar and Omos was such a Vince McMahon segment. Omos and MVP are in the ring. Out comes Brock Lesnar. He's a happy cowboy. They get in the ring and they just look at each other so we can see how big each guy is. Omos then, like, I don't even know what he's doing. He, like, takes his fist and he points his fist at Brock Lesnar for a while. And then Lesnar nods. And then Omos offers a handshake. And Brock looks at him. And then Brock gives him a handshake. But then Brock tries to get his hand back and Omos won't let go. So Brock stomps on his foot. He goes behind for a German. And then Omos is supposed to, throw Lesnar over the top rope. And man, they botched this thing to high heaven. And Brock Lesnar, he actually makes it over the top. He lands on his feet. He totally doesn't sell it. He backs a little way up the ramp. He smiles. He looks at a ref. He goes, "Give me my hat." The referee goes and gives him his hat. And then he walks away. And that's the whole segment. And the crowd's dead. Now, granted, when I say the crowd's dead, I know everyone's going to get on me. Yes, when they faced off against each other, the crowd did chant a profanity, okay, when they first squared off. But as soon as Omos did the fist, and then the crowd died from that point forward. They were just watching it like, what is this? And it was just such a nothing happening, like, they're both big. Brock can't do anything to big man. Big man, it's like total Vince McMahon, simplistic, nothing happening BS, okay? Then, later, we have a Bianca Belair match. And when the match is over, the heels jumper, and Asuka runs down to make the save, okay? Do you guys remember Asuka, like, when she was in, like, the Elimination Chamber, and, she was just absolutely, unbelievably awesome in that match. And literally everything she's done since she's come back, she's been awesome. Am I wrong? Like, I'm right, okay? So, now, well, heels jump Bianca, and Asuka runs down to the ring, and they kind of clear the ring a little bit. And then Asuka sees the belt in the corner of the ring. She picks up the belt. She goes to give it to Bianca, and then she pulls it away. And then she goes to give it to, and she pulls it away. She's playing keep away. Then she just starts laughing hysterically. And Bianca's looking at her like, "Why are you laughing?" And the crowd is like, you say corpsing, that's like everyone's laughing. Well, this is different. They were all corpses. They were absolutely dead silent. They had no idea what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. Asuka's laughing, and she's laughing. And then, you see a little bit of green goo on her teeth. And then Bianca has to be scared. She has green goo in her teeth. And Asuka laughs and dances away, and everyone in the crowd is dead silent. Like, what is this? And that was another one. It was like, that is such a... And then the kicker is, why does she do this? Well, the announcers say, Asuka playing mind games with Bianca. I'm like, this is total Vince. This is total Vince. She's playing mind games with her by dancing and playing keep away and having goo in her teeth, okay? This dude, I don't care what anybody says. I know people are going to deny this, okay? Whatever. But, like, this dude's eking his way back in. And I'm afraid that we aren't long from him being all the way back. And then I'm going to have to come on this show every day and, like, remind people that when Hunter was in charge, it actually was better. A lot better than when this old bloke came back and just ruined everything. So anyway, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff on the show. I mean, it was a solid show for the most part. And then, like, the Otis stuff, I mean, don't even tell me that ain't Vince. We're back to making fun of Chad Gable. He's a troll. He looks like Gollum. He's ugly. He's short. Otis is a fat guy who's now a I mean, come on. Come on. And this stuff, by the way, sucks so much more than the rest of the show. Like, it's not even the same universe as the rest of the show. But some people still insist, oh, it's just the same as when... No, it's not the same as when Vince was there. It's so much better. But he's coming back, and it's going to get so much worse.
I can't give you much of a pushback when it comes to Asuka and Bianca and when it comes to the Alpha Academy looking in the way that they are, but I'll try to push back a little bit with Lesnar and with Omos by saying, well, Omos can't really do anything anyway. You really only wanted to have them have one interaction where you have something like that happen. So it's like, wow, Brock, the one guy that we don't think has got any chance in the world of beating Brock, I don't care how big he is, at least he got one visible thing over on Brock. So whether that was Vince or whether that was Triple H, what else were they supposed to do for that to keep it short and to make sure that, like, neither man, you know, messed anything up, or in the case of Brock Lesnar, killed Omos for him screwing something up.
Hey, listen, maybe don't touch. Maybe don't touch until WrestleMania. Maybe don't have the segment. I mean,
maybe don't have the match.
They had one spot they had to do.
I know.
One.
I know.
And it was a disaster.
By the way, it is blue goo that she has all over her mouth. And wouldn't you be scared of somebody who ate those things that you put in the toilet bowl to make it blue? Wouldn't you be scared of that person?
It was green.
It's blue.
And it doesn't even matter. Someone put the screenshot up so I can show Mike.
She has yellow teeth or something? Is that what's going on there? She's got a full head of white teeth. It's blue.
And she laughs, plays keep away.
At least she's got her businesswoman's clothes on. You notice that? They've stripped off the face paint. She's dressing in slacks now with colorful shirts on, sometimes a blazer.
No
paint.
New
Asuka here.
No paint.
Yeah. I'm fine with no paint, to be honest with you.
According to Dave, from what I understand, the Bray Wyatt match is still on for WrestleMania, he said last night on our show. He should be back very soon, so we'll see. That's pretty much all I can say. There is something to it, but I am not at liberty to discuss it. As far as I know, everything I've been told is that it is not a creative issue or anything like that. Back in a moment, Wrestling Observer Live.
I'm going to ask you guys each a question about the other person, and then you just let me know if the other person is wrong or not. And we're going to start off with Marty here. So here we go. Question number one. What is Allison's favorite food?
What Allison could eat all the time, maybe not necessarily her favorite food, but what she could eat all the time is sushi.
Is she right?
Correct.
Wee, ding, ding, ding. All right. What is Allison's favorite genre of music?
Ooh, that one's really hard because Allison listens to a lot of different things, a lot of things that you wouldn't expect her to listen to. But if I had to pick one, like if what's probably playing in her house now, I want to say like your mom's country music.
Oh, okay. Is she right?
I would say yes. My playlists are like reggaeton and 90s country.
And that was gonna be my
a
other
lot of
one.
90s.
Or Spice Girls.
That's not
It's
what
like
I was
there's a
expecting, by the way. I was
Yeah.
not expecting that whatsoever. All right, question number 3. What is Allison's favorite item of clothing?
ooh, her favorite. Oh, is it her favorite or what I know she likes to wear? And what if she wasn't
It could be
on
like a
camera right now?
specific
She'd be
item,
wearing?
yeah.
If she wasn't on camera right now, she would have her red robe on.
I'm a robe guy. Yeah, I'm a robe guy at home for sure.
Question number 4, is Allison an early bird or a night owl?
I will literally get text messages from Allison at 2 or 3 in the morning. Allison is a night owl.
Okay, and last question. This one's more on like whatever you think, Marty. What is one word to describe Allison?
One word. I think it's one that we both have used to describe each other. Loyal.
Allison, your turn. Question number 1. What is Marty's favorite social media app?
Well, you know what it
Ooh.
isn't.
I know it's not Twitter for sure. I guess by default it would be Instagram.
That's the only one I really use. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 2. What is Marty's favorite movie?
Ooh.
Marty's favorite movie. Oh,
Does Marty watch movies?
I know. I'm like, Marty doesn't really watch movies.
My favorite horror movie.
Your favorite horror movie is The Orphan.
Okay, there we go. Good one. Question number 3. What is Marty's favorite color?
Purple. Easy.
Alrighty.
I was trying to listen to the camera. I'm literally wearing purple eyeshadow. Yes.
Oh yeah, I see it. Question number 4. Does Marty prefer going out or staying in?
That's hard to say because I feel like both of us it can change on a whim. Marty, I will say Marty is definitely more extroverted than I am. So I'm just going to say going out, but I also know she loves staying in. So I don't know. There's not really a good answer to that one.
Yeah, that's a hard one. Yeah, literally everything AK just said.
All right, and last question, same question is, what's the one word you would use to describe Marty?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many going through my head right now. Resilience.
Oh, that's a strong word.
You know
I
what's
love that.
freaking insane? I swear to you, that is what I was going to say for yours.
I believe you.
I wish we could have been like writing this down, like holding it up because I
Or said it at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, more news. So tomorrow on The Bump, Ric Flair is going to reveal the next member of the WWE Hall of Fame. And Ric Flair had asked to induct the Great Muta. He is announcing the next inductee. It is believed the Great Muta is going in. So, if we add all of this together, my prediction is that Ric Flair will be announcing the induction of the Great Muta tomorrow on The Bump.
Does this progress or this whole thing seem like real slapdash to you? You know, usually they have these things announced starting in January.
Well, there's a big difference, Mike.
What's that?
In the old days, they would rent a building, and they would have a day, and you would buy tickets for the Hall of Fame, and you would go, and so they had to do all of this long in advance. Now they don't do that. Now, at SmackDown on the Friday before Mania, they're going to do the live SmackDown, and then for those people in the building for SmackDown, they're going to do a mini Hall of Fame.
Wait a second.
So literally, you don't have to announce any of this.
But they have a building. You just said, no, well, they don't.
I know, but they've
have a
already
building.
sold all the tickets for the people going to SmackDown. It's not like they got to sell more tickets because Muta's going in the Hall of Fame, or they don't have any more to sell. Like, it's out, it's done, it's over. So now it's just we're going to do a Hall of Fame after this SmackDown show. But everyone's already going to.
Wanted to get their ducks in a row as far as the announcements and who's going to be inducting these people, and maybe like letting the people themselves, know that they're being inducted. Has that all been actually nailed down yet?
Who knows? No one's allowed to say.
It has.
No one's allowed to say even if they know. It's like when people sign with WWE and everybody knows, but they can't say anything till WWE says it. I would bet that most of these old ducks are in a row for whoever's going in.
Mm-hmm.
We got SmackDown ratings. 2.32 million viewers, down 5.3%. Lowest viewership since January 20th. SmackDown topped all of television with a .63 in 18 to 49. Nothing else on Friday was within .20 of SmackDown. On television, network, nothing. SmackDown beat everything. The second highest thing did a .43. SmackDown did a .63. So, not bad. Rampage, also, for Rampage, did well. Did 447,000 viewers. Largest audience since January 27. 18 to 49, a .15, 19th on cable. And up 50% from the previous week. And the best Rampage 18 to 49 since December 23rd. So, I don't know why. Maybe everybody wanted to see Riho. I'm sure people will be very happy that I said that. That's the reason the show did so well. But there you go. That's the ratings for Rampage and SmackDown.
It's good to hear, boss.
John Cena commented on the sexual misconduct allegations.
This is not good to hear.
That have been made against Vince McMahon. The AP asked John Cena if it's tough to reconcile the positive feelings he has towards McMahon with the sexual misconduct claims made against him. Cena said no. I mean, everybody has a right to have their perspective. I have the right to have mine. When you love somebody, you take them as imperfectly perfect as they are. We all make mistakes. We all have poor decisions. Lord knows I've made my collection of poor choices. Doesn't mean I'm not going to love somebody. There's no way I can go on record and say I don't love Vince McMahon. And then, of course, they asked him a bunch of questions about the sale, and he don't know what's going on. Which, in fact, I believe he doesn't know what's going on with the sale.
You got any comment on that?
No, of course not.
Okay.
I think everybody has a comment on that now, don't they?
Probably. You know, I have one. Like, you know, you can love somebody, but you can also hate some of the things that they've done that have been hateful in their lives or negative. And I don't know the reason that he needed to comment at all, really, on it. Could have just kind of brushed it under the rug, but there was probably a way to say that didn't sound so gushing and actually provided a little bit of needed balance considering what the accusations have been. But we are all different, as John Cena said.
Anna Jay is returning to the ring after being gone since January 13th when they did a powerbomb spot off the ramp and she landed on the cement instead of a table.
Smart.
Dislocated her ribs and was out of action for a long time. She'll be back on the March 18th AEW House Show. That's this weekend, actually. Troy, Ohio. It will be Britt Baker versus Anna Jay, A.S., on that show there. And this is the first live event that AEW is doing. And we've talked a lot about house shows, and we'll see how the show does. I mean, they very much, they very much wanted all of the big stars there, or at least the biggest stars they could get that would do it. And there was obviously the problem where Jon Moxley was double booked, and they made him do the house show, which he was not happy about. So they want to sell tickets for these house shows, and they want to have something resembling a house show business. This is the first one, and I guess we'll see how it does, but, it's there's a lot that goes into this. This is not just, hey, it's going to work or it's not going to work. Maybe it's going to work, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe it will be financially viable, maybe it won't. I mean, we don't know anything about anything, okay? Here's the deal. WWE has these downside guaranteed contracts, okay? So you do a house show, you make money. You don't do a house show, you don't. I don't know. I mean, as far as I know, and this, by the way, I always bring this up when, people talk about, CM Punk should come back and the Elite should feud with him because everybody would make so much money. And I bring up to people, no, everybody would not make so much money. Maybe AEW would make money. But, like, these guys are not on downside contracts. The Young Bucks are going to make exactly as much money if they sit at home as if they do this feud with CM Punk. There are no bonuses. We've never heard anybody talk about a bonus, a pay-per-view bonus, any of that. This is not WWE, okay? So it's a thing with the house shows as well. Like, okay, I don't know if a house show is going to be financially viable because I don't know if the talent's making any more money for being on this house show. Is Britt Baker making any more money for being on the house show? Britt Baker and Jon Moxley and Anna JAS and everybody working this house show, for all I know, when they initially signed their contract, they were just given a guaranteed contract. You may end up doing house shows, you may not. You may end up doing TVs, you may not. You may end up on Rampage, you may not. You may be booked for 2 months, you may be off for 2 months. You're going to make the same money no matter what. So I don't know what the budget is for these house shows. They literally may be renting a building, and then, you know, there's the transportation costs and everything like that. But, you know, it may be, you know, you run in an area where you can sell a decent number of tickets because there's not TV there usually, and you're not paying a ton of money for the talent because they're all under guaranteed deals. And it might be financially feasible unless you draw like 300 people. So I don't know the answers to these questions, but we're going to know the answers because if they run a lot of house shows, it's working out. And if they don't, it's not.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see exactly what's going, you know, around all of this stuff. You know, are they going to have meet and greets? Are they going to have something afterwards? Are they going to try to bind themselves in the day before and the lead up? I'm interested in all that sort of stuff, and really Mookie Ghana and I guess Jeff Jarrett and the other people involved later on down the line. I'm interested to see how they came up with these cities. Why Troy, Ohio? Because do they get good TV ratings? Did you go back and look at the history of the area? Is it just because it's a really cheap building and it's easy for everyone to access? I am interested to know exactly the mechanics about how the whole thing was kind of created and what they're going to do to try to make themselves different and to make themselves stand out and try to drive people to the event that way.
Hey, listen, Mookie's a stats guy. If you're looking at the ratings, and Troy, Ohio does in fact do great for a Rampage or a Dynamite or whatever, and they rarely run in Ohio, then you know you have a fan base that might want to see the stars and is not being served, and so you run a house show there. I mean, it might work out, it might not. You know, obviously, there's a lot of different things that go into this financially. I mean, the idea, like, it's just not going to work. You might be right. You might not. The idea that, oh, they're going to do great. Everyone's going to get reps and everything. It may not. We don't know. There's a lot that goes into this. And, you know, I see a lot of arguments that are based on, well, you know, this is the way WWE did their business in the 90s and these were their contracts. What does that have to do with AEW right now? They're completely different contracts, so they're structured totally differently. I mean, it's
different fan bases. We have different times that
everything is
right
different
now. Everything is different. So, yeah, the only thing that's the same is there's going to be two half-naked people getting busy on a canvas mat in there. That's going to be it.
I don't think we're going to get that.
A lot of the other aesthetics and a lot of the other things have changed about it. So I'm very interested in seeing where they decide to run. Look, there's a ton of buildings, especially in the Southeast, that you can run and get people, you know, some reps. It's just a matter, too, of how big do you want to make these events? Because you can easily have an AEW house show every night to get people reps, but is it something that you want to attach an AEW title to because you don't have a lot of the bells and whistles?
Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
And it was also funny because ROH, when I was younger, was like shows I would go to and joke like, oh, if I wanted to choose like anywhere to be, I would want to be here. And it's crazy to think about because there was such like a vibe to ROH, and I feel like has that vibe again, and it's just even bigger than what it was before. And I'm just so grateful that I was able to be a part of it. And I also messed with a bunch of like the guys who've been on ROH for a minute, and I posted the picture of me like super young hanging out with like Maria Canellis in the Kingdom when I was like just a baby. And I was like, yeah, I used to go to shows and watch you guys, and now you have to work with me.
Oh my God, what did they say? What was their reaction to that?
Everybody was like, you make me feel old. And I even joked with Bryce, the ref. He was like, yeah, I was looking at your social media and I saw the post and I was like, oh my God, I ref those shows. She's a child. And I was like, I had to grow up. I'm sorry. I'm still so young. And nobody, like, they're like, we love it, but you just make us feel old sometimes. You can't do this to us. I truly think that the women's community is super, super, like, protective and caring about one another and truly wanting to see people grow. And it's funny because everybody wants to say, oh, we're competing for a spot. There's only a certain number of spots on shows. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I get that, but we don't get better without each other. And that's the truth in wrestling. We need each other. You can't have a match by yourself. You need an opponent.
Exactly. So for you, who are some of the women that you feel you've like really connected with, that you either helped you out in your journey, that you just really kind of bonded with, or that you take inspiration from?
Definitely Jessica Havoc. She's an amazing woman, has helped me very early on my career, and even now, Ruby Soho, she's an amazing person, and if I message her, she'll answer any of my questions. No matter how goofy or crazy it is, she'll take the time and be like, yeah, I can help Billie out. I'm one of those people, I'm like, hey, what are you doing? I have this really weird question about wrestling, and it will be like completely random topic that we have never talked about before, and then we'll go into like a sidebar conversation when I'm like, hey, when's the next time I see you? Do you want to see this kid do a 450 off the AC unit? She's like, what are you talking about?
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Like Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. It's time for the world-famous Raw Report. But before we do that, I got to answer an important text message, Mike. So why don't you tell everybody what you think about the WWE Legends episode on Kane doing the lowest of any biography they've ever done?
Wait, that question was specifically for me?
Sure, why not? Gotta do this real quick.
Well, you know what? I can imagine that a lot of people, much like myself, had much better things to do with their time. Although his wrestling career, I wouldn't mind doing a retrospective on that. Any other parts of his life? Not so much.
All right. I handled that problem.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I'm a very important man.
You say you're very professional.
I got a lot I got to do.
Smooth.
All right. Well, open up with, the show opened up with Edge coming out for a promo. And to cut to the chase here, Edge says, man, essentially he says, I'm old.
Yes, he did.
I don't got much time left.
I don't have much time
I
left.
wasted a whole year wrestling in front of TVs, and then I wasted a year wrestling you idiots in the Judgment Day. We got to end this. So, at WrestleMania, Finn, I want you in a Hell in a Cell match. And Finn accepted. He said, I've been to hell. Hell has spit me out. I will see you at Mania.
They should have made it grit versus hair.
We had a brawl, which led to Gargano, Dexter, and Candice all running out. So we got a tag match. Gargano and Dexter versus Dominic and Damian Priest. And Candice shoved Dom's feet off the ropes when he went for a pin. So Rhea took her out. And then Loomis put Dominic in the choke. Priest booted him, hit the South of Heaven, got the pin. maybe it's because this was like the old school booking that Tim and Buddy and everybody always did, but this is such old school, easy heel booking for Dom. Like, they'll do matches, and someone else does all the work, and then Dom gets the pin. Then they'll do another match. Dom is doomed. He's trapped, but he gets rescued, and then they win. It's like, this guy has so much heat. Unbelievable heat.
The classics never die, Brian.
Every time he opens his mouth, they hate him. This match, until the end, did not have any heat, except when Dom tagged in. Every time this dude tagged in, people were just furious to see this guy. They've been doing a great job with old Dom. Then we had Miz showing up. Chad Gable can't find Otis, which is hard to believe. He thinks, I better go make some flyers. Then they cut to Damage Control beating up Trish. Her friends are nowhere to be seen. She's left laying. Then we had the Brock segment we talked about earlier. At the end of the day, he really likes that hat. Cody and LA Knight.
Oh, my God. Somebody let Brock Lesnar know that Bryan Alvarez has accused him of doing a Jake Hager gimmick.
I'm just pointing out he likes his hat. I like my new haircut. What's the problem? So Cody faces LA Knight, and the match was pretty good. And they're like letting LA Knight do stuff now they didn't normally do. Cody hits him with the Crossroads, pinned him. And then Cody does this great promo afterwards. Are you guys aware of how good a promo Cody is? This guy is such a good promo that, like, every time he does a promo, I'm like, okay, that's it. Like, we're good until WrestleMania. Like, you're not going to do a better promo than that. Then he comes out and it's better than the last one. This one was over. I was like, that's it, dude. You're done talking till Mania. But you know what? He's going to come out next week with Roman, and he's going to do it again. He does this promo about how Heyman's giving him these warnings, but he's going to fight beside anybody he wants to. He'll fight by Sammy. He'll fight by Kevin. He don't care. He says, Paul's talking about, don't make this personal. He says, this has been personal ever since I was 19 years old. I stepped into the ring. 21 years old, he says. It's personal every time I get choked up doing one of these promos. It's personal every time I put on this suit. He says, I don't put on this suit because I think I am somebody. I'm putting on this suit because I want to be somebody. He says, I acknowledge you, Roman Reigns, but you know what? You need to acknowledge me. I'm not perfect, but I am undefeated. And while I grew up thinking I was a prince in this industry, I've got no crown, I've got no sword, I got no title. And on April 2nd, when the sun goes down on Hollywood, it's going down on your generational run, Roman Reigns. He vows to be the first Rhodes ever to be able to say he's the WWE champion. This place is going crazy for this guy. Like, stop with this stuff about Cody needs to not win at Mania. And we got to get to 1,000 days. Just everybody stop. Like, it's time. Do you understand? The rule in wrestling, the only rule in wrestling, is when it's time. And it's time. You hear me? You know what else it's time for? A new gimmick for Seth. Listen. If this guy wants to keep having that song and having people sing the song, he's going to be just as over, okay? But you know what? This gimmick sucks. Last week, he got knocked out by Logan Paul. He is going to be wrestling Logan Paul at WrestleMania. His reaction to getting knocked unconscious and humiliated by Logan Paul is to dance onto the screen, laugh, say, and I quote, Logan landed the shot of a lifetime on my chinny chin chin. Ha 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 ha! But you can't keep me down. Miz shows up and Baron Corbin shows up. Miz says Logan's going to be doing a TV deal next week on Raw. Baron wants to be on the show. Miz says no. Baron wants to co-host. He says no. Baron says, man, maybe I should just, train Seth. I was a Golden Gloves boxer. Seth said, I'd rather take boxing lessons from my infant. Corbin's mad. He says, I'll knock you out. Seth says, ha 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 ha! See you out there, buddy! And he dances off. I hate this character. Do you understand? I hate this character. You know a character I don't hate? Bronson Reed. He killed Elias. You know what's funny about this Elias thing?
What's that?
I don't like to hear anybody ever getting released or fired. I don't want Elias to get released or fired. I'm happy that he has a job and he can earn money. But you know what's amazing? This is a guy who, like, Vince McMahon, when he was booking, clearly saw nothing in. Okay? Now we've got Hunter in charge. And, like, if you look at the people that Vince hired and fired, and then you look at the people that Hunter hired back, like, clearly there's guys that Vince likes, and there's guys that Triple H likes, and women. And they don't always match up. You know, Vince doesn't like damage control. He fires so-and-so and so-and-so. You know, Hunter likes him. He hires him back. Well, man, nobody likes Elias. Like, Vince doesn't do nothing with him. Hunter doesn't do nothing with him. It's like, this guy can't catch a break. So he gets beaten by Bronson. Because Bronson's
Isn't he
great.
there right now to be the stair step for Boogs? Really, at the end of the day, that's what this is about, the much bigger guitar player?
I guess. I don't know. Well, Chad Gable runs into Becky and Lita, and they're furious. They go to check on Trish. Kevin Owens has a promo, and, you know, Kevin Owens, God bless the guy, love him, but his character is just a dummy. It's always been like that. Like, he gets his ass kicked every week, but he will not accept help. And that's his whole promo. I don't want your help, Cody. I don't want your help, Sammy. And granted, you know, he's got a reason for it. Like, you know, I've had problems my whole life with everybody. But, you know, when you think about it, it's like, most of this is your fault, buddy. You've turned heel on people 75 times. But his character's like, I don't want help. I will do this myself. Don't come out and help me tonight. So you'll never guess what happens in the main event. He gets attacked by all the heels. They beat his ass. Nobody comes out to help him, and he's left for dead. But that's his character. Although
well, it
soon...
makes a lot more sense than having Trish and everybody else that gets laid out week after week with no friends around there.
Well, they actually explain that. Like, her friends were getting coffee.
Coffee.
They weren't around. Well, they've learned their lesson. No more coffee.
Travel as a group.
So Theory meets with the Street Profits. Now, like, Theory got buried last week, so now he has to bury everybody else. He buries the Street Profits. He said, you're both likely going to be fired in a few months. You're both just a bunch of jokes. Oh, what are you guys doing at Mania? Nothing. And so he ends up being challenged by Dawkins. And they have a match. And, you know, I got nothing personally against this Austin Theory guy, but here it was again. He's in there with Dawkins. Dawkins is more athletic. He's more charismatic. Like, he was a star of this match. But Austin Theory beats him. A-Town down, pins him. And now next week, Montez is likely to fall.
I think Austin Theory is going to be a player in WWE for a long
well,
time.
Of course
Forget about
he will.
Any of that sort of stuff. But
I'm not
tell
disputing
you what,
that at all.
When it is, but the thing is, when it is Montez Ford's turn, when it is Carmelo's turn, when it is some of these other guys' turn, he'll just be a guy that's there. That's what he better worry about. That's what they need to better worry about, because he is good. People that say this guy sucks, he's charismaless, he's this, he's that, that's not true. But they have been pushing him like crazy, and they've done so in a way that has not made him look good at all from the time that he's come up to the main roster. At some point, you better do something with him, because he is going to get lapped by these other people.
Heyman interview, talking about Roman Reigns being on the show next week, if Cody wants to acknowledge him there. Rey Mysterio comes out, Dominic interrupts again, and Dominic does this promo. He's incredible. He's like, his best line is, you know, I'll never forget, you told me you were going to buy me a car, Dad. And man, all of my friends, they all got Mercedes, but you just got me a BMW. Not even an M Series. And I'm like, look at this guy. He's incredible. And he wants a match with Rey. Rey refuses to give it to him, walks out again. And man, I don't know what Dom's going to do, but I know what he's going to do. And we're going to get our match at WrestleMania.
The Hall of Fame is now a backdrop to do angles for WrestleMania the next day.
Great.
Oh, my God.
Seth and Baron Corbin, 2 minutes. Seth pins him after jumping off Miz's back to stomp him. It's 2 minutes. It was fine while it lasted. People sang his song and everything. Then we have Chad runs into Otis. Maximum male models. They call him ugly, small, short, a goblin. And Maximum male models goes off, and Chad goes, man, come on, Otis. Let's just train for 20 minutes. And Otis goes, 20 minutes? But then Maxine goes, Otis. And he's smitten. Off he goes. Chad's devastated.
Otis.
Bianca beat Chelsea Green. It was a match, all right. First half was all right till the commercial break. And I don't know what happened during that commercial, but it came back, and it was not good. And then they did the Oscar thing afterwards, and I was disgusted. And then the main event, Kevin Owens, Solo Sikoa in a street fight. I mean, hey, for the 8 minutes they had in the ring, man, they worked their asses off. They had a great street fight. But then, of course, Kevin goes in the back. Usos super kick him. He's dead. They drag him to the ring. They throw him in the ring. Super kick him again. Solo spikes him and pins him. Remember last week? Forget it. Who cares? No Cody, no Sammy. Kevin was a man all alone, as requested.
They respected his wishes.
And he was killed. Hey, listen, aside from what seemed to be obvious Vince stuff, show's fine. It's good build towards Mania. They're taking their time. They're building all this stuff up. Everything goes where you expect. It's good stuff. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
So let's get right into it. Now, I know you said you're not a fan of school, but what is your favorite subject in school?
So definitely this year I take Psychology 101, and it's been my favorite class this year. We're on like a serial killer unit right now, and I'm having like a great time. It's actually something I'm super interested in.
Okay, question number 2. Favorite place to hang out when you're not wrestling?
My best friend's house. She has like a trampoline and a pool in her backyard, and I've been friends with her since middle school. So whenever I get to see her over the weekends, and like whenever I'm not all over the place, I love just going over to her house and hanging out.
Question number 3, a match or opponent you've learned most from?
Ooh, that's hard. I will say, like, very early on in my career, the person I probably learned most from was Kylie Ray. I had a match with her when I was a little over a year in, and she honestly helped me out so much so early on in my career, so I'm going to give it to her.
Question number 4, what's something aside from wrestling that you're a big fan of? And I guess we kind of touched on it a little bit, but I guess if there's anything else.
I'm a big video game person, and I mostly focus on like first shooter games. So I love Call of Duty. I like Splitgate. I like Overwatch. So that's more like my second love. Whenever I'm not wrestling, I can play video games and have fun. I joke that like when I'm not wrestling, it helps me get like my violent tendencies out. I was like definitely becoming a wrestler, and whenever you have a weekend off, and you're like, oh my God, I have all this pent up like energy. What's going on? I feel frustrated. And my mom jokes, like, I get all grumpy when I don't get to wrestle. She was like, you need to get something out where it's like, it builds up in you. And I don't know what it is.
Question number 5, favorite way to spend your time traveling?
Ooh, honestly, I love just hopping on a plane and just falling asleep. If I could sleep on the plane like every single time, I would be a happy soul. But there's like sometimes I'll get squished right in the middle, and I'm like, this is the worst. I can't do anything here. Rough sometimes in the car too. I will say like, I joke that the traveling beats up my body more than the wrestling sometimes, because like trying to sleep in the car and I will wake up and my neck's just sore. I'm like, what happened?
Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Our own Hall of Famer Lance Storm is going to be on the show in an hour. This will be the first full show he's done in like 3 weeks, because a couple of weeks ago he had his heart issue, which has been fixed up. And then his wife had an appointment last week. And so this week he will be back. So we got a lot to talk about with him, including him going into the North Bay Sports Hall of Fame, which is coming up here. So we'll talk about that. And then tonight, Brian, Vinny, Granny, Sean, Craig show. Got a big show coming up. Raw, 2 weeks after WrestleMania. And what a main event they've got on the show. You guys think Raw today is no good. Lex Luger, after failing again to win the WWF title at WrestleMania 10, will be facing Rick the Model Martel. Yes, that's the main event.
I usually would not be standing here and accepting any Rick Martel slander, especially Rick the Model Martel, but we are getting pretty long in the tooth when it comes to the model in WWE at that point.
Yes. Yes.
He would then pop back up in WCW in the TV title mix with Booker T, and one of the weirdest things that
he was freaking awesome.
He was.
When he came back to WCW, he was so awesome, and then he like immediately got hurt.
Who was the third Saturn? That's who it was. It was Saturn, Booker T, and Rick Martel. It was weird.
He was great. Anyway, we got to wrap it up. Lance is up in an hour. WrestlingObserver.com, video.f4wonline.com. Check it out. Same for subscribers tonight. Brian and Vinny, Granny, Craig, and Sean show will be a lot of fun. And that's it, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.